Batushka from Poland. Now that is a band that has been on the radar, so to speak, for the past couple of years for various reasons. Some people talk about the music and how it was a little bit different because of the choirs, Orthodox church kind of choirs, and the album covers and everything was a little bit different. It was like the flavor of the month a couple of years ago. Well, then the story got some more drama in it. We got these twists and turns because the two original members, it seems, got into this feud, and then everything turned to shit in terms of, getting this drama done. I mean, suddenly there were two Batushkas because there was kind of a feud between these two members, the vocalist and the songwriter, about who owns the right to any given band. That is, suddenly we had three Batushkas, the original one, then the successor of the original by the songwriter, and then this other Batushka, which some people call fake Batushka or fake Tushka, because it seems like this vocalist wanted to take this name and, make it his own band. And suddenly we have this legal rights thing going on. Now, I don't know how many people even know the situation where these bands and these people are in 2021. Because this was already going on a couple of years ago, and since that it seems that the successor of the original Batushka hasn't been really active, and it gets all messy. Now, I've read things on the left and right, and seems like some people don't even care. Some people consider this Batushka the original one, or at least the more active one and the more real one, where some people totally deny this one because it's called fake Tushka. Now, if it gets messy, if it sounds messy, that's what it is. But let's put it this way. We have two Venoms, we have two Entombs, or had, and there are other bands doing the same kind of thing. We had even this Gorgoroth case where, some newer members of the band tried to get that name. We have even a couple of different versions of Immortal, Abbath, Immortal, EI, what? Okay, it gets confusing and doesn't really belong to this review. What we have here, however, is this, let's call it third iteration of Batushka, or like some people say, fake Tushka. I prefer the name Barthuska because Bart is the name of the vocalist of the band, and or his nickname actually, and he is more or less the leading figure here with this band, and also the band behind Witching Hours Productions, which then again released this CD as well. Now the curious thing is, this band was signed to Metal Blade previously, but maybe because of this drama things got a little out of hand, and now they're back on, smaller label. Despite of that, this digipack just looks marvelous. I know it's very glossy cover, so as such you will see these reflections, and I'm trying to show you in a way that doesn't do too much harm in that segment. So no booklet whatsoever available. We have the CD and obviously this interesting art. But what we have missing here compared to previous Batushka albums is, as you can pretty much see, there are no Orthodox faces here anymore. But we have this play with these Orthodox crosses, obviously inverted. And that's pretty much how it looks. And that's pretty much the story you need to know before getting into the music. What can we really expect from the music? And before we get into that, here is how it looks like on metal archives nowadays, because you have Batushka, the original one, you have Krzysztof Dabrowski Batushka, you have Bartłomiej Kryziuk Batushka, which is the Barthuska, the one here, and then we have a couple of other bands, which seems to be just fucking around with the band. Anyway, going back to this Barthuska part of the deal here, and this is what we have. It has released this one album, Hospody, which I really liked back in the days, 2019. But as you can see, there's a lot of some kind of attitude thing going on. I kind of doubt that these 7 reviews going average 38% is purely reflected on the music. Now, I won't be reading these now. It wouldn't be, don't make any sense. But when I say trust me, it's a little bit about that, because people want to protest against it. And I agree. It's one thing to do justice and one thing to talk about music. But this should tell you enough that, people aren't really happy with what's going on here. Anyway, this one is called Carju Niebiesnyj. Sorry, my Polish isn't really good. And this is what the band is in 2021. Now, musically, this is an MCD with just 27 minutes, 6 tracks. And basically, everything here is pretty decent. I mean, it's kind of atmospheric black metal, a little bit nodding to bands such as MWA or MGLA, like some people still, I guess, understand it. But mostly it's about, continuing where Hospody and the ones that came after that left off. So it's atmospheric black metal, not exactly most melodic, not exactly most catchy, and definitely not the rawest or more like primitive ways of doing black metal. So people who are in the softer side of black metal and like the previous versions of Batushka, doesn't matter which person we're talking about, might be exactly interested in this. However, I find this a little bit lacking that magic that I got from the previous Batushka iterations. It's more like, yeah, I get where this band is trying to go, and I get this is nodding to Mgwa, but sometimes it doesn't really resonate too much. There are better parts where it almost, get that air under its wings, almost flying and all that stuff, but it's more like wobbling around in air rather than being like, yeah, really good. Now, technically, I can't really complain about, the how the production is, vocals, and, how the instruments are done. Everything just sounds very professional, as it should be by the time of, this band and all. And even with this cleaner parts of vocals, they are right there. But music-wise, I think it's missing something very magical. Now, you can't go only that far with kind of atmospheric black metal. I mean, if it's all about building this atmosphere, if it's all about trying to create something which is just referred to as emotion versus, songwriting where you have these certain parts like riff A, riff B, a bridge maybe, a chorus part, and then you just meddling around with it again, like the kind of a rock and roll formula. You don't necessarily need that or have that in atmospheric black metal music especially, but then you really need to have the emotion 100%. The really same thing with this what post-rock or post-metal is leaning to. You either have this atmosphere or then you're about to fail. And I think this particular Batushka release is a little bit so-so. I kind of like it, but then again, I don't really like it that much that I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this in my shelf and start worshipping it. I'm more like, yeah, I mean, it's fine, it's decent. But do I get like anything bigger than that out of it? Not really. So for me, this is quite decent, quite easy to listen to. And I would be a little bit, little bit on the background to say that I can maybe recommend this to you, but only if you're a fan of the style already. This is not a game changer. It's more like a step back, in my opinion, from that Hospody era. So people who are into this kind of stuff, yeah, go check it out and try to put these drama elements, behind you. And if you can, then don't bother with this, because this is not the original Batushka anymore. With these words, go give it a look. It's decent. Just don't expect too much and you're good to go. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.